Inside Trinity Baptist Church in Los Angeles, a packed room of citizens and LAPD command recently gathered to confront a growing sense of local crisis. Residents arrived with a specific set of concerns. They expected to discuss the traditional pillars of urban fear: the threat of gang violence, neighborhood drug activity, and the rising homicide rate. Law enforcement met that expectation with a significant presence. Captain Flores and Captain Flores were there to represent the precincts, embodying the institutional force the community usually looks to for protection. Historically, the very concept of public safety in these neighborhoods has been defined almost entirely by the fear of a stranger with a gun. But then, Captain Flores shifted the conversation. He shared a data point that forced everyone in the room to recalibrate their understanding of what is actually threatening the lives of Angelenos. Last year, traffic collisions in the city killed 290 people. That figure didn't just climb, it surpassed the total number of homicides in the city. This data solidifies vehicle fatalities as the leading cause of death in Los Angeles. Flores specifically linked this spike to a rise in drivers distracted by mobile devices. As drivers' attention completely shifts to their screens, hit-and-run murders in the city have reached a tragic all-time high. A narrow focus on traditional crime narratives has masked an entirely different reality. The greatest physical threat on these streets is often an ordinary neighbor behind the wheel. To see where this violence occurs, you only have to look at the daily daytime traffic in Los Angeles, where the volume of vehicles creates a constant, high-stakes environment. Navigating this space requires a high degree of civic attention, yet more drivers are choosing the immersive distraction of a smartphone over the safety of those around them. Striking a pedestrian and fleeing the scene represents a collapse of the shared social fabric that allows a city to function. When personal convenience is prioritized over the life of a person on the asphalt, it suggests a normalization of negligence that the city has yet to fully confront. Both Captain Flores and Captain Flores acknowledged a limitation of their office. The LAPD cannot arrest a community out of a deficit of empathy. When a public safety crisis is driven by widespread civic apathy rather than criminal intent, traditional patrols and handcuffs lose their effectiveness. At the town hall, Dr. Jocelyn Mull and the South West Clergy Council offered an alternative path, positioning faith leaders as a bridge between the police and the neighborhoods they serve. This strategy relies on community-driven intervention, an approach that uses localized moral authority rather than state enforcement to address neighborhood issues. In many of the city's historically marginalized neighborhoods, multi-faith clergy possess a level of trust that government institutions struggle to build. This dynamic has seen success before. When addressing specific street-level issues like prostitution on Figueroa Street, community-led interventions often prove more sustainable than standard arrest sweeps. Reversing a trend of hit-and-runs and distracted driving requires this kind of collaborative intervention, aiming to repair the civic connection that traditional policing cannot reach. If the warnings shared at the church go unheeded, the trajectory for Los Angeles streets points toward increasing chaos. Neighborhoods risk becoming high-speed transit corridors, where human lives are treated as a byproduct of movement. There is a sociological cost to a culture that tolerates hit-and-runs, as it signals a broader acceptance of social decay. When a community begins to view pedestrian deaths as an inevitable part of the daily commute, it erodes the collective sense of responsibility that serves as the foundation for all public safety. This crisis ultimately moves the burden of safety away from institutions and places it on the daily habits of every citizen. The required actions are immediate: put down the mobile devices, reduce speeds in residential zones, and approach driving as a shared civic duty. Beyond the wheel, safety depends on active participation in clergy councils and police advisory boards, the spaces where neighborhood self-determination actually happens. The long-term stability of Los Angeles depends on the individual choices made by the millions of people who navigated streets every day.